Welcome to This Explainer. Look, today we're unlocking the absolute ultimate blueprint for your Cambridge Accounting AS and A-level exams. You already know the books of Prime Entry are the literal bedrock of this subject. I mean, they appear in every single exam series without fail. Yet, year after year, candidates lose completely avoidable marks because they treat these journals as simple data entry exercises rather than the rigorous analytical tools they actually are. So today, we're putting on the examiner's lens and decoding exactly what they want to see from you.
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with number 1, the Prime Entry exam code. Then 2, securing method marks. 3, comparative analysis. 4, avoiding the context trap. And finally, number 5, the final examiner checklist.
Let's dive right into Section 1, the Prime Entry exam code, where we crack the theoretical foundation. Okay, the absolute most crucial point you need to grasp here is that examiners are not just testing your ability to draw neat lines with a ruler. That's not what A-level accounting is about. The theoretical architecture of the books of Prime Entry actually rests heavily on 3 core pillars: precise definitions, causal relationships, and integration with other syllabus areas. You really need to understand the why behind the what. Why exactly does a credit sale go into the sales journal, but a cash sale goes straight to the cash book? What is the actual causal relationship between a supplier's invoice arriving on your desk and your purchases journal? You see, examiners are actively scanning your paper for systematic analysis, established accounting principles, and evidence-based reasoning behind every single entry you make. It's about proving you understand the system, not just the math. Now, I want you to really listen to this direct quote straight from the Principal Examiner Report. It says, candidates referencing cross-topic connections achieve significantly higher marks. This is huge. You literally cannot treat the books of Prime Entry in isolation. It's a massive trap. The most successful candidates, the ones securing those top bands, are those who can mentally trace a transaction from the physical source document, like an invoice or a credit note, right through the journal, into the ledgers, and ultimately see its precise impact on the final financial statements or control accounts. Integrating your knowledge across the entire syllabus, that's your secret key to unlocking the highest possible grade bands. Moving right along to Section 2, securing the method marks. Remember, it's all about process over product.
So, how do you capture those highly elusive method marks? Well, examiners are looking for a very specific cognitive strategy when you tackle multi-stage problems. Think of it as a 6-step process. First, you deconstruct the question. You have to isolate the command words because analyze requires a totally different, much deeper approach than simply explain. Second, you extract your data carefully. Third, you select the correct accounting framework for the scenario. Fourth, you execute the entry. Fifth, verify the balance. And finally, step 6, present it flawlessly. Why does this matter so much? Because following this exact sequence ensures that even if you make a tiny, silly arithmetic error under exam pressure, your flawless methodology is still going to secure the vast majority of the marks. They are grading your thinking process.
And listen, when you are presenting your data, the details matter immensely. You might think it's just formatting, but to an examiner, it's proof of competence. They expect strict procedural conventions, proper headings, the correct terminology, appropriate formats, and crystal clear annotation. If you forget a date column, omit a folio reference, or just fail to total a journal, you are actively throwing away marks. Why? Because you aren't demonstrating those vital, real-world professional accounting skills.
All right, Section 3, mastering comparative analysis to unlock top-tier evaluative thinking.
What separates the top-tier candidates from the rest of the pack? It all comes down to demonstrating a high level of evaluative thinking. This means you do not just accept the exam data at face value. Never. You have to question assumptions, consider entirely different perspectives, and most importantly, you must justify your accounting decisions with hard, concrete evidence. For instance, if a question asks whether a business should switch from manual books of Prime Entry to a computerized system, you can't just regurgitate a list of pros and cons from Chapter 4 of your textbook. You must evaluate the specific situation of the business in the prompt. Securing those top bands requires you to move far beyond rote memorization into active, critical thinking.
This brilliantly illustrates the exact difference. Generic analysis is passive. It just lists a few similarities or differences and calls it a day. Top-tier analysis, however, actively identifies both. It uses strong comparative connectives like furthermore or conversely to link ideas. It supports every single comparison with specific evidence from the text. And critically, it draws a definitive, justified conclusion about relative importance. You can't sit on the fence. You must weigh the competing arguments and make a firm, justified final decision. That is how you score top marks.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 4, avoiding the context trap, also known as the generic answer pitfall.
I want you to stop and ask yourself honestly right now. Are you answering the question asked, or are you answering the question you memorized? When you are under intense time pressure in the exam hall, I know it's incredibly tempting to just dump everything you know about the cash book onto the page. But if you aren't applying that knowledge to the highly specific business scenario right there in the prompt, your answer is effectively useless to the examiner.
Guys, this is literally an alert straight from the examiners. The absolute classic mistake across all books of Primeentry questions is providing generic answers. If the exam scenario is about a small local bakery that's struggling with cash flow, your evaluation of their cash book and sales journal needs to explicitly reference baking supplies, daily cash takings, and their specific business constraints. You have to anchor your knowledge, always link every single point back to the given scenario. Generic, textbook-style answers completely fail to meet the higher-level assessment objectives. Context isn't a bonus, it is entirely non-negotiable.
Let's bring it all together in Section 5, the final examiner checklist, going over the top 3 warnings.
Based on real, hard data from past exams, you need to audit your work against these 3 massive traps. Trap number 1, using the wrong approach for the context. For example, accidentally putting fixed asset purchases into the purchases journal instead of the general journal. Classic mistake. Trap number 2, forgetting to check your format and presentation. Missing dates and incredibly messy corrections literally bleed method marks from your score. And trap number 3, our absolute biggest warning of the day, providing generic answers that lack specific business context. Take a mental screenshot of this slide right now, because avoiding these 3 will save your grade.
Before we wrap up, I've got a quick, incredibly effective memory hack for you. Use a visual story method to encode these concepts. Don't just blindly memorize accounting rules. Visualize the physical, real-world journey of a transaction. Close your eyes and imagine a delivery truck arriving with inventory. Picture the supplier actually handing over a paper invoice. Imagine that specific piece of paper being physically logged into the purchases journal, and then watch those totals move into the ledgers at the end of the month. Creating a rich mental story for the flow of documents makes the abstract rules of Primeentry completely logical, intuitive, and unforgettable when you're staring at a blank exam paper.
As we close out this explainer, I'm going to leave you with one vital question to think about. Will your next exam answer merely state the facts, or will it prove the process and actually secure those top method marks? Remember, the examiners want to see your theoretical architecture, your strict procedural skills, and your deeply contextualized evaluative thinking. Apply this playbook, practice diligently with past papers, and always focus on your process. And hey, to make sure you never miss a breakthrough strategy, be sure to subscribe to the channel, ace the exams, IGCSE, O&A levels, and turn on the notification bell. Thank you so much for joining me for this deep dive, and I look forward to guiding you through our next explainer.